Hello RaceAl users. Tonight I'll be going over the MR340 Propaddler app for Android. This app is meant for racers who are participating in the MR340. It is a yellow Missouri State icon with 340 Pro and a blue Missouri River across the middle of it. Open that up, and the first thing we should see is a dialog box asking you to enter your information for a quick start. The MR340 Propaddler has a lot of settings, a lot of options. There's a lot to go over, and so this ends up giving you a quick way to set what is most commonly used. First thing you need to do is select your race. By default, it only picks things with 340 in it, so it makes selecting your races pretty easy. Select race or none in this case. None would be a choice if you were doing like a training run, but in this case, we will pick the real race. Enter your racer number, right? My number is 1661. It might be any other 4-digit number, 0007, etc., whatever it is that you registered your boat with. I will put in my number in 1661 and go from there. App mode is sometimes confusing, but this is really saying, am I going to use the automatic default values for all the parameters, or will I use manual? Manual means you're in control. Auto means I'm going to just let the designer, i.e. me, John, pick what the default value should be. Select that, say OK, and you're off and running. The app is doing what it should, and you are now using the app to navigate the Missouri River 340. First thing you see here is the status screen. Um, Highlights of the screen would be cross-track, which is the distance you are from the center of the channel, and bearing, which is how your nose of the boat is pointed either away from the center of the channel or to the center of the channel. You got your basic speed stuff as far as max, average, and actual, as well as down here, importantly, you've got this river mile. This is really important for anything safety. If you are in trouble, you would use this number to help report your position to a safety boat if you need them to come get you. Also down here are the checkpoints. This would be the next checkpoint you're going to listed. So the closest one I am is Taylor's Landing. My ETA is 11 minutes and my distance is 0.4 miles. Jeff City is a checkpoint I have selected, more on that in a minute, and St. Charles, of course, the finish line. What is the estimated time of arrival for that finish line? All right, so that's the basics of the status screen. Up here, importantly, we have settings. Um, Settings we get to, and it has all the details of the app as far as its parameters and how it operates. Key thing to remember here is start date and time. This is when the app will actually start recording and doing its thing. Normally you want that in the past behind you. If I had no race selected, I would need to set this. It'll default to whatever the current time is. It's kind of like your go button, right? In this case, though, start time is in the future. It's not yet 8-1, at least as far as when I made this video. This is the start time for my division because I gave RaceAl my number. It looked up my start and said, you must have start here. I'll set that up for you. So the quick start did that for me. It gave me the correct start time. I'm now in a little bit of a waiting mode with this app. It will kind of kick into gear when the race starts. This kind of information that I already picked on the quick start, saying what race I'm in. This is the start and stop checkpoints. Normally just leave that be, but if you're doing a training run, you might want to select other. Race goal is important if you want to actually do planning with this app. This app is fairly good at setting up and kind of keeping you on track. So say I want to finish the race in 50 hours, I could enter that time here, and then the app will kind of remind you, oh, you're ahead of plan or you're behind plan. You cannot enter both a desired finish time and a speed. It's going to automatically calculate one or the other. You can't do both. Rest time is usually good to take a breather every so often. It's pre-set up for a half-hour spend at every checkpoint and 3 hours sleep at Miami, Jeff City, and Herman. That's a lot of sleep, but a lot of people do it. You can definitely finish the race and do that. I'm going to turn off my last one because normally I'm just heading straight in. And so I'll set that back to none if I don't plan on sleeping anyplace. Where did none go? Must be at the very bottom. There we go. So I'm just going to sleep at Jeff City and Miami. Maybe we'll make this Herman instead. So 2 stops, 1 in Herman, 1 in Miami, and I'm done. I will apply the rest time. It'll add that to my planner. and take that into account when it's trying to figure out where I'm going to be at when. Okay, down here, important things to notice is really this audio status time. This is how often the Google lady is going to talk to you, and that's saying that I'm going to talk to you every 4 minutes. I will give you a status as far as where you're at, where you're going, whatever it is you have selected, I will tell you from an app point of view. That's really handy to have during the daytime, because in the daytime, you really don't want to have your screen on. You want to have your phone put away and maybe just using the voice feedback, which you set up here, or possibly just, letting it be. Don't even use it. Maybe check the status once in a while, but basically let the phone don't get overheated and don't strain your battery to nothing. Um, Other things here, cross-warning status, cross-track status on the screen I'll show you in a minute. There's a warning track saying try and keep your boat from plus or minus 60 feet from the center of the channel. This is pretty handy. The channel is not a single red line that goes down the middle of the river. You have quite a bit of room, and if you stay within the warning track, you're going to be pretty safe. All right, that's about all we need to talk over. There is a simulation mode if you're so interested to get to know your app. Turn this on. It'll give you really, really fast and whatever river mile you want to start at. So play with that. It's kind of fun. Get okay, get out of this. Okay, go back here. Um, Things to note here. We've got a channel audio. This will actually vector you towards that center of the channel if you get outside the warning track. So whenever you move outside of that, it's going to say, hey, go right 20 feet, go right 50 feet, etc. It will vector you towards the middle. Um, some people find this useful. Some people find it really annoying. You get to play with it. Status audio is that, what I talked about. Google Lady is just telling you whatever you have selected to tell, like next checkpoint or average speed or distance to finish, etc. Whatever you've selected is what she'll tell you. High contrast is useful for like during the day. Um, if it's really, really bright outside, it's hard to see the screen. This kind of helps you, especially on the map screen. And then settings, of course, get you back to the settings screen. How you navigate this app is not by any menu, but actually just swipe from one side to the other. If I swipe to the right or the left, it'll take me to the next screen. So from status screen, I swipe left, I see the map screen. Let's move this back off of high contrast, and you'll see what's going on the screen. Let's see if I can zoom in. I'm not sure I can. Maybe not. I can't do it on this particular emulation. But what you see here, cyan is like any obstacles. You might see actual checkpoints coming up like Taylor's Landing. The red line is the center of the channel, and the green line is that warning track. So you see here, I'm actually just left of the center of the channel. And if I go up here and select my cross track, let me see if I can find that here. A whole bunch of statistics you can pick from. I'll pick cross track. It says, oh, you are minus 163 feet left of channel. So you see the red line. It means that my boat, the center of this little circle here, is 163 feet left of that channel. So that's just a good way of kind of remembering. Negative is left, positive is right. Other things you can pick, oh my goodness, you name it, it's there. Distance to the next selected checkpoint is pretty common. Time to the next checkpoint is common. So it will give you, how many hours and minutes you are to that checkpoint and how much distance, miles you are from it. I a lot of times like to see my, battery. That's usually going to keep a track of. You don't want that to get too low. Um, Yeah, other things you can do on the screen, if you're interested in how far you are from you can just double click and it will give you like I'm 0.4 miles from Taylor's Landing, things like that. There's zoom in and zoom out as well that we just talked about. Okay, so we'll move on to the next screen. This is just the tracking screen. Generally, I will say that Racer is a better tracker than Propaddler. It's more advanced and works better. This one does a fine job though. If you are using an Android and you have cell phone on it, you don't need to run both Racer and Propaddler. One of them will do it. And if you're navigating, you may as well use Propaddler. I will say there is a little bit of an oldness to this tracker in that there are two things that go wrong. One is you forget to turn it on, right? So this has a start stop button, and a lot of times people turn it off and then they forget to turn it back on. Make sure you hit track me and let it be off there, sending the location to race out. That's really important from a safety point of view. It's really important from a spectator point of view. We want you to be able to sending those position updates periodically as you can. Um, that's about it for the screen. That one important thing is you'll see the total location sent. That just should always add up. It should be saying, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about every 5 or 10 minutes, it will send a location to raceout.com. If you get into a dark zone, you'll see this number go up where you have no cell phone data. It'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you come out of the dead zone, it should reset itself. Now, one deficiency in this app is it doesn't always do it. So sometimes it needs a kick in the pants to get it going again. You just come in here. I would recommend that whenever you're stopped for some reason, checking your phone for any other reason, for like text or whatever, just come in here and make sure. Never hurts to press track me. It kind of will jumpstart this particular app and get it back off of a dead zone. Um, Go on to the next one. Auto check-in. This is a very handy feature. What this does, it will automatically send a checkpoint in and checkpoint out. This is a slightly dated feature because now RaceOut itself, as long as you tracking, does this for you. So you don't actually have to have this app doing this for you. If you were just tracking, RaceOut would do it for you. It doesn't hurt to enable this, so it sends those automatically check in and check outs. It doesn't hurt, might help. This is an important screen here in that it allows you to pick the checkpoint you are going to. So for instance, maybe you say I'm at Taylor's Landing and I really want to just go to Jeff City. It will give you the distance and time of arrival there to Jeff City, and then back here on this main screen says that's your selected checkpoint. That's the one that you're going to go to. If I wanted to pick a different one, I could do so by picking, let's say, Herman, go back here, and now Herman shows up here, as well as if I've selected this, distance to select a checkpoint, that's what it's going to. This is distance to Herman and time to Herman, depending on what you've got. So that's the way that's kind of interconnected with each other. One key aspect about this, you can go through and you can see just every paddle stop, or you can see just the checkpoints. So if I'm only interested in things that are checkpoints or paddle stops, you can do that. Otherwise, if you toggle this thing, it will show you everything. So here we're seeing all the official paddle stops and checkpoints. If I do this, I can see every ramp along the river. So kind of a handy thing. If you're coming in, you want to find just a ramp, this will kind of get you there. Okay, so one other feature we should probably touch on, which is the planning. This is handy because it shows you for the hours you're going. So if I hit my goal, it says 50 hours, then I need to go at my current, because I'm starting halfway down river, right? It says you need to go 3.4 miles an hour to make it to your goal at 50 hours of a race. If I start from the start, I would have to go in 8.4 if I want to stop at every checkpoint for a half hour and sleep a couple times. That's the speed I've got to go. So this is kind of a fun game you can play if you get really, really nerdy or want to geek out. You can go and you can adjust all the estimated times you think you want to stay. So say you go back here and say, well, okay, this one, that was like Miami, I believe. I don't know, I could be wrong. But if you go find Miami and this, get back to just the main checkpoints, we'll go back to Miami. Uh, if I hold on this thing, it says, oh, you were planning on resting for 3 hours. Well, I could say, I really want to sleep good. So I give myself, I'll say, an 8-hour rest. I wouldn't recommend this, by the way, but you could. You can say, I'm going to sleep for 8 hours here, and then all of a sudden you'll see this plan grow by 8 hours. You're stopped there for 8 hours. You'll see now I've got to go 9.5 miles an hour to make it to my goal. Probably not going to happen. Few people can do it, not very many. So you end up playing with time and say, well, okay, what if I go back here and I say, well, let's switch this down. Okay, maybe I skip it altogether. I just don't sleep. And then it goes back there. It'll adjust it. Now I'm down to 7.8. So you can see, you can plan it out all you want. I'll be honest with you, by the time you get on the race, things change, and you'll see this blue line, it'll change to a yellow line, and you'll see this is what actually happened. And almost every time I do this, I will see my line start off on the red, and then eventually I end up being really much slower because I'm just not that good of a racer. Maybe you are. But anyway, this can help some people. Maybe not. Maybe it will. One other screen here. This is just a big number. You can pick it and have it display wherever you want. Kind of handy sometimes if you want to just see it from across the boat. Um, that's about it. Those are the main aspects of Propaddler. Again, highly recommend screen on at night, charge at night, during the day, have the thing put away, put it in your pocket, pull it out when you need it, keep it in a dry bag, keep it in a baggie, keep the thing dry and cool. It's going to be hot. Don't let it overheat. Don't let it get wet. You'll be unhappy if you do so. All right, that does it for this app. Hopefully that made sense. And happy MR340 week.